Prediction season is officially here. These are my game-by-game predictions for the Missouri Tigers in the 2024 college football season. Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Guys, go to RHOBACK.com and use promo code SECU for 20% off your first purchase. That's RHOBACK.com, promo code SECU to get 20% off today. The Missouri Tigers look to build off an 11-win season and get to the 12-team college football playoff. These are my game-by-game predictions for Eli Drinkwitz's team in the 2024 season as we pull up the schedule and each of my selections. Now, I brought a certain level of energy to Ole Miss's schedule when talking about their 2024 slate. I went as far as to say that there's been a lot of chatter about should college football have a preseason, should there be exhibitions, etc., etc. I went as far as to say that Ole Miss is maybe the only team in college football that gets a 3 or 4 game preseason this upcoming year. I have to correct myself because they are not the only ones. The Missouri Tigers, in their first 4 weeks, play the following: the Murray State Racers, the Buffalo Bulls, the Boston College Eagles, and the Vanderbilt Commodores. That then followed by a bye week. And all 4 of those games are in Columbia, Missouri. Ole Miss and Missouri got this scheduling thing down. Give them credit, because you talk about making a 12-team college football playoff and what you need to do so. Having a schedule conducive to a big year, especially in the case of Missouri, when you've got some moving pieces, some holes to plug, specifically on the defensive side, you get 4 or 5 weeks to figure things out and get the ball rolling. Guys, that exactly is what Mizzou got in this 2024 slate. All due respect to those teams I just mentioned. Game 1 against Murray State, it is on that Thursday, August the 29th. This game is the SEC Network game, and it is going to be an absolute bloodbath. I will say the interesting thing, though, guys, about Mizzou is this. Last year, we saw Missouri early in the season look kind of lackluster against their non-conference competition. I forget exactly who it was against, but I remember sitting there thinking, wow, that score is a lot closer than I thought it would be. And sure enough, Missouri, of course, got the win, and we all know what happened. The rest is history. But I do wonder, is Mizzou able to get off to the big start they're wanting and hoping for? So I think they beat Murray State easily. I think they beat Buffalo. The game against Boston College week 3, I don't think it should be interesting. Maybe if it was up there on Chestnut Hill, maybe then some craziness could happen. I don't think Boston College is going to be some elite ACC team this year. And so I don't think Missouri should have any issue. But this is college football, and crazier things have happened. That being said, I've got Missouri getting the win there as well. And then your SEC opener against the Vanderbilt Commodores. Guys, Vandy very well may upset a team in the SEC this year, but it is not going to be Mizzou. This game, I would imagine, is going to get out of hand at minimum in the second half. Going to be an afternoon or night kick at Thoreau Field. I don't think Eli Drinkwitz's team is going to have any issue. So you're going to start this season 4-0. By the way, going into a bye week after this, the final weekend in September. So the front of this schedule sets up as well as it possibly could for Mizzou. Again, guys, a Mizzou team that what you have in Brady Cook, Luther Burden, Theo Weiss, but there are some other areas, right? The offensive line, which should be really good. They're going to be blocking for a pair of new running backs, Marcus Carroll, Nate Noel. who I think will be really good in that system, but is there going to be an RB1? Is it running back by committee who emerges from that room? Hey, you got 5 weeks to figure that out. Defensively, no more Blake Baker, brand new defensive coordinator. What's the defense look like? Who are the new playmakers that step up in the secondary? You got 5 weeks to figure that out. So for a Missouri team that is very, very talented, there's a reason they're looked at as one of the, dare I say, favorites to make the college football playoff. Even for a team like Mizzou, getting these first 5 weeks to figure some stuff out, it could not have worked out better for Eli Drinkwitz and his coaching staff. Then following the bye week, the first real test of this 2024 season, you go on the road to Texas A&M. First game in October for Mizzou. This is a tricky one. This is a game where, guys, you look at Texas A&M slate. If they come out of the gates firing, let's say they beat Notre Dame in week 1, they've got their conference game in the swamp against Florida. They win both those guys. There's a chance Missouri's going on the road to face an undefeated Texas A&M team. Do I think that's likely? Not necessarily, but it is possible. You know Kyle Field's going to be rocking, guys. It is going to be a noon kickoff, though. I know Kyle Field is, raucous all the time, but certainly you're happy you don't get that night game on the road. I've got Missouri taking this game. Again, I'm a believer in Mizzou, guys. I think Mizzou, the big question this year is, who are you really, right? Because Eli Drinkwitz, 6-6, 6-6, 6-7, 6-6. I called him the Jeff Fisher of college football because all he ever did was go 500 and remain not just employed, but get extensions as well. Last year, obviously, was not the norm. But is it the new norm in Como? Guys, I think this Missouri team is really good. It's going to be a hell of a road test. Bit of a coin flip, scary matchup. But I do think Missouri finds a way to go into College Station and get the dub to move to 5-0 overall. Then one of the most interesting road trips in college football this year takes place. Missouri goes on the road to Amherst, Massachusetts. Yes, to take on the UMass Minutemen. This game will not be close. Missouri will run away with this, but what's going to be fascinating to see is just Missouri playing in that 5,000-seat stadium. Going to be one of the more fascinating watches of the year for sure. Either way, though, Mizzou at UMass, not going to be close. Then you return home for homecoming. You take on the Auburn Tigers. I think you get a win there yet again, guys. Auburn on the road, I think they're going to be wildly inconsistent. So I think if you're Mizzou, you're hoping you're not catching them on one of their better days. But, guys, I think Peyton Thorne, he's not a quarterback I trust. You've got Brady Cook and all the offensive firepower. I just think Auburn on the road, different team away from Jordan Hare. I think you win that one. I think you stay perfect on the year, 7-0, setting up undefeated Mizzou, heading in to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Who knows what Alabama is at this point in the season, guys? I think they're going to be fine under Kalen DeBoer. I do. I think the demise, the downfall of Alabama is greatly over-exaggerated. They still have one of the best rosters in college football. But who knows? Maybe they've lost 2 or 3 games at this point. What version of Alabama are you getting? That being said, on the road in Bryant-Denny, I am picking the Crimson Tide here. I think Bama's got a little bit more than Missouri right now. Going to be a close contest. Going to be one hell of a ball game. One of the best games in the SEC this year, I think. But I do think Bama's got a little bit more than Mizzou. You know it's going to be a crazy environment at Bryant-Denny. Going to be an afternoon or night game kick guaranteed. And I still am a believer in Bama, guys. I think Bama, and I think a lot of these teams, if you haven't noticed, guys, I think a lot of these teams at the top of the SEC, they are going to beat up on each other. I've got a number of teams finishing 10-2. And I think some of the best in the SEC that play each other, I think they're going to beat up on each other. So I think really close ball game back and forth. I'm siding with the Crimson Tide right now at home. I think they've got a little bit more. I think they're just more talented than people realize or people want to give them credit for. So I think You drop your first ball game, first loss of the season comes at Alabama. Not the dreaded hangover, guys. Not the dreaded hangover, right? You get the bye week between Bama and Oklahoma, Saturday, November the 2nd. Key bye week. Your bye weeks couldn't come at better times this year. Saturday, November 2nd, you get the bye week. Then you take on the Oklahoma Sooners. Bad blood in this one. I think one of the most underrated bad blood games of the season. Oklahoma fans don't want to call it a rivalry. Missouri fans do. Whatever it is, the two sides don't like each other. That's just a fact. The two sides do not like each other, okay? After some of the stuff that happened over the course of the offseason, this player goes here, the Caden Green thing, there's some trash talk, and anybody who doesn't have Eli Drinkwitz as their head coach. So everybody who's not a Missouri fan seems to dislike this guy. Oklahoma coming into Faurot Field. Afternoon or night game at Faurot Field in Como. Going to be a hostile environment. Going to be electric. I'm going with the Sooners to pull the road upset here. Hear me out, guys. Could go either way. Absolutely could go either way. Coming off the Bama game, even though you got a bye week, I think you're a little beat up here. I think Oklahoma, they're not going to be great this year by any means, right? I think they're around that 7 or 8 win range. But I think they're going to be good enough to jump up and bite somebody. I like Jackson Arnold. I like Deion Burks. I think they're going to be good enough to jump up and bite somebody. And I think that somebody is the Missouri Tigers. I think later in the season, right, we get to the month of November, I think that's when it could really start to click for OU. Offensive lines coming together. You know, listen, it could go the other way. The offensive line stinks. Jackson Arnold can't stay healthy because of it. They can't run the ball, and we're having a much different conversation. But I think Oklahoma, I think the pieces could come together here. I think they will. I think defensively, Oklahoma's got the defense. I think they've got an elite level defense. I think they've got the defense to not just keep up with, but make life really, really difficult on Brady Cook and company. And so I think Oklahoma comes into Como and pulls the upset over the Missouri Tigers. It'll be a tough loss. It'll be a painful loss after starting 7-0, dropping back-to-back ball games to fall to 7-2. But I think Missouri bounces back in a big way. Again, backs against the wall. You know you've got to have a strong finish. You go on the road to take on the South Carolina Gamecocks. Listen, is this a trap game? Maybe. But until South Carolina beats Missouri again, it's been 5-6 years, something like that. Until it happens, like, let's stop kidding ourselves, right? Let's stop pretending that there's a lot of SEC programs out there that want to pretend they're a better program than Mizzou, and all they do is lose to Mizzou. They've been to less SEC championships than Mizzou. It's time some folks learn their place, and one of those programs includes South Carolina. So for better or for worse, listen, could end up being, it's an afternoon game at Willie B. Could turn into a bit of a night game. Obviously, that late in the year, second half is at night. Probably going to be a rocks environment. That has not mattered, though, in this series. So until we see it, I can't pick it the other way. I got Missouri getting the bounce-back win to move to 8-2 at Mississippi State the following week. I don't think Missouri is going to have much trouble at all. Again, guys, this late in the season, backs against the wall, I think they're going to be on a mission. They move to 9-2. And then finally, guys, speaking of programs that think they're better than Mizzou, that never beat Mizzou, the Arkansas Razorbacks in Como. I think Arkansas going to be a little bit better than some other folks are thinking. I'm a little bit higher on Arkansas than some others. They're not at Missouri's level yet. So I've got Missouri winning that season finale, finishing 10-2, 6-2 in conference play, putting them right there squarely on the college football playoff bubble. You'd have some nice games, nice wins to hang your hat on. At Texas A&M, I think, could be a really big one. Auburn at home, if Auburn turns out to be pretty good. Outside of that, you start searching. Is it at South Carolina? Are they a surprise upstart? Is Arkansas a little bit better than we think? And that's a quality win. Either way, A double-digit win season for Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers, 10-2, 6-2 in SEC play is where I've got MIZ. So, guys, do you agree with me? Do you disagree? How do you see Mizzou faring in the 2024 college football season? Guys, that's going to do all for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast, wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.